Right, welcome to the Brightson podcast. The music could have started on a worse time, but whatever. Welcome to the Brightson podcast. This is episode
Right.
2. Welcome to the Brightson podcast. Alright, today I have Astronomical with me. I have Xolkar with me also as a special guest.
How's it going?
Welcome.
What's that?
Okay, so today I've decided that we're gonna do it live because obviously it's like less editing and stuff, and I don't really feel like doing much editing and stuff. So well, that's Gable's side. Anyways, we're gonna be talking about random stuff. I don't want to talk about TNF specifically because for TNF there's not much to talk about. If you understand what I'm saying. Obviously there's Redux, but you can't really talk about TNF for 30 minutes long. Anyways, let's start talking. So before we did get into this podcast, we were talking about school and education, right? So, education. It links up with my moderation and why I left being a mod. Because education, and I need to focus on it a lot more. Obviously, my grades were like an A, and some of them went down to B's and C's, which wasn't as impressive as I would have wanted them to be. But they were decent grades, and let me point to a story which really happened. I was talking to Emmy, and I told Emmy how I got an A, and he was like, "Whoa, that's cool, dude!" And it's in engineering, so it's gonna be epic. And then I went downstairs to get a drink because I was a bit thirsty. I come back upstairs, but while I'm going upstairs, my dad's downstairs on his phone, and then I'm like to my dad, "Hey, Dad, I got an A in engineering," and he doesn't even acknowledge the fact that I got a good grade, which is very depressing. But yeah, that's on my part. Astronomical's talking about something for his like science or something. You want to talk about Astro?
I mean, I can fully relate. If you get like 93, my top mark's 100. So if you get like 93 or 97, he's like, "Oh, why not those 7 marks? Why not those 3 marks?" Like I can relate with that. It's like but yeah, it's kind of like a pain and it's kind of sad, but. Like I understand the parents, like your parents are like wishing the best for you, so I understood.
Yeah, I mean we were talking to Xolkar about it as well. I don't know if Xolkar wants to talk about it, but he was like how he got like Fs throughout his entire grade, like throughout his entire last year, until the last year came and like he somehow amazing reason he got like an A, which is surprising to me because I thought he would have failed, but apparently he didn't. Within the story, go on.
Throughout my entire high school experience, I wish I would have done more. Schooling is very important to get into other schools, progressing into things that you want to do maybe in the future. But for me, I just really didn't. I didn't really care about school. For my freshman and sophomore year, I did horribly. Then, in order to get caught up in my grades, I went to somewhere called Sunburst Youth Academy. It was like a little military boot camp kind of thing to kind of set me straight and do my grades. Then I came back from that. I did my junior year. It was a good year, and then senior year came around, and it was just about partying. Honestly, I didn't really care much about anything. And then I got Fs my first semester, second semester, third semester. And then the fourth semester came, and it was the very last week that for everyone to start graduating, and my name wasn't on the list of graduates.
Right.
And what made me actually like finish, like kind of strive for the last week to get those grades up was because my mom basically said like she's been doing all this, and it's true. My mom's the only person who's ever been in my life, and my dad has not, and she's been the only person that's really been pushing me to do anything that I put my mind to. So she basically told me that I would be a disappointment to an extent. She didn't say the exact words, but she was kind of getting the gist of that, and I was like, wow, that hurt. So then that last week I did my online schooling, and I finished that year's worth of schooling in a week and graduated with my class. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, you don't really understand how important your education really is.
Yeah, until the end.
Yeah, I mean, I was in Birmingham University. It was like a top university in the UK. Don't know if you guys know in the US, but it's a top university. And we were just talking to this one of those guys who like teaches you, just does the lectures. And we're talking to him, and he's like, "Oh, how his brother failed, and now he regrets it greatly." but somehow he managed to get hired for business, which was his friend's business. Good on him. But you know, if he had nowhere else to go to, then he would have basically become a bum and would have turned out homeless probably.
That's not exactly true. You have millionaires all the time saying that they failed in school and they brought up their own business in their own type of way, but that's because dedication is everything. That's honestly how it is. Commitment
It's
and
very-
dedication.
If you put your mind to it, you can basically do anything.
Pretty much.
I think that's true to some extent though, because some people are like, oh, if you put your mind to it, you can do anything. But that's like, obviously you can put your mind to something, but like, you have to have the motivation every single day. It's very rare that you see a person
That's why I'm saying it's all commitment.
like a lot of people, they do they fail their grades, and it's only a couple of people who work 7 days a week trying to get out of that place that they're in right now. They try to rise, and then obviously that's those people who have those big multi-millionaire businesses. I think that's just for my opinion. Another topic which was schooling as a whole. So I don't know how it is for the US, but in the UK, like in my school alone, there's like me, which is obviously I'm a Muslim, and my skin color is brown, and then there's a lot of white people, just endless rows of white people. And when you're doing an assembly and you're sitting in the chairs, you'll see me and then just a lot of white people, and it's like it's a bit predominantly white, and then you feel a bit affected by that. Astronomical, can you relate?
Well, I can kind of relate. Well,
I mean, I know you're like Indian and stuff, so like I
I'm
guess.
the only Indian there.
Yeah.
Everyone else is, like, literally everyone else is either white.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like being the one packy there.
Like, no, it's sick, right? They're chill, right? But
Right.
like sometimes, like you kind of feel like, wait, what? Why am I here? Why am I not like in
I think it depends on where exactly you live, because I know in California the majority in high schools are Mexicans.
Right.
And that's true.
It is.
In California, it's just straight Mexicans, pretty much,
Right.
and little groups here and there. But
Yeah, but like if you go all the way up to like the east, I think you'll see more Chinese and like some white people. You won't see as many Mexicans up in the east part of the US.
yeah,
Yeah, and I guess that's true. Something else I was trying to talk about. It was Endgame. I've not watched it yet. Have you guys watched it?
I have not watched it, but I know it came out today. I heard it's
Yeah.
gonna be
Dude,
pretty.
I heard
amazing.
it's good.
Gonna be
I mean, I haven't watched it. I'm not gonna watch it tomorrow, but
Right.
I heard it's gonna be epic. So
I wanted to go watch the premiere because I watched the first Avengers and they really laid it out like pretty finely.
Right. I mean,
And
this is
then-
like, yeah.
this is like leading up to everything, you know.
From what I heard, this is like the end of it, right? Because that's
Yeah,
what's
this
called
is
Endgame.
the end. Yeah,
That's all these movies, all these millions of dollars put in, it's come up to this. So,
And like, we all
yeah,
better, like anyone who's watched it, anyone who hasn't watched it, we all expect or had expected it to be good. Like, if you watched it, maybe it's good, but we don't know, right? So I'm guessing it's gonna be really good. I mean, probably a multi-million dollar, you know.
I think out of all the Avengers movies, Black Panther was like the most unexpected. You didn't expect. I bet those that were making the movie didn't expect it to get that big.
hmm
yeah.
So when it did become that big, everyone was like, "Whoa!"
Like,
Well, I
hype
think the
blew
only
up
thing
like
that Disney has good going for them is the Marvel universe, because their current movies like Dumbo, that was fucking
It was,
that was whack.
Yeah. It was
like
shit.
it's basically sticking to one of those like same innocent person, and then like you have to overcome something, you know.
Yeah.
Like MCU changed it up, like, or Marvel changed it up, where like the bad guy wins for once, but then
Mhm.
what's gonna happen after? I don't know really. So
Yeah. Now I think I just want to talk a bit about TNF. To be fair with you guys, I don't know about you guys, but I want to talk about a bit about TNF.
Alright.
And literally just everything we could talk about within TNF. So obviously TNF, the Northern Frontier, HBC. I was talking to Emmy about it, And if he becomes governor, then there is a possibility of, well, which I highly doubt he will become governor. But if he did somehow become governor, then I suggested to him that he might want to bring back platoon system. I think the platoon system was an amazing system and it worked perfectly fine. Don't know about you guys.
I mean, like, I feel like the platoon system had more variables. So,
Right,
like,
bro.
if it was multiple people, right, one platoon can F up. But then, like, you got
Bro,
so
I felt like
many
the
other
platoon
platoons.
system. Yeah, I felt like it was a family, bro. Like when you're in a platoon system, you don't. Yeah, it's not a garrison. You're a
And then
platoon.
you're part of something like
You go
bigger
to a
than
company, from a company all the way up to like regiments or something, wasn't it?
battalion and stuff like.
Yeah,
no,
bro.
it wasn't
You
a
see,
battalion.
it was a battalion. Yeah, you understand that you're like it's not so. It's very complex, is what it
Mhm.
is basically.
And
And
it's probably gonna give more of a chance for people to get like ranked or like be
Yeah,
seen.
well, now I feel like obviously they say that it's because of activity, that's why they can't do it, but I think that's just like bullshit, dude. Because HBC is linked with the game. They're obviously gonna have so many more members joining their group every day, so they're gonna have activity. So to create activity, you gotta do the dip and make that platoon system, and then after that, that's when you start to get active again. Because people will look at that and they'll look at garrisons. They're like, "What? Why a garrison?" Like it's great and all, but up to 6 garrisons and I think it's like 2
I
specials.
mean, you're not gonna have an entire garrison marching down a server because that's way too many people. But you might have like an entire platoon like ready.
I think it's epic. Like imagine it, just like you're having a battle with someone, you're like, oh shit, it's 12th platoon. Oh no, run away.
But yeah, no,
It was
that
epic.
was epic times. Like you would have like different people. Like you don't have that choice. Oh,
Wait,
well,
Xolkar,
first garrison,
weren't
second
you?
garrison,
How was
third
it?
garrison,
Wait,
fourth
were you in
garrison.
HBC when platoons were a thing?
I was in HBC since the beginning. Yeah.
So how was platoons?
HBC people say HBC is bad, but
I
they
do
still
too.
have potential. But back then, HBC used to be the powerhouse. We
HBC
used
was
to
amazing.
fucking destroy everyone, dude. There would be no chance.
Like
And
I
I
was
feel like where they went wrong was expanding too much. Because it started from like a couple platoons and like we would rally like 60 per platoon, and then they just kept
shit.
expanding and spreading it out and then because imagine if HBC
Yeah, so
was a lot.
when you spread
Imagine
your
if-
supply is too thin, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And then they spread it out the officers to like it's just so spreaded. I feel like we would be a lot better if we kind of just cut it in half, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, and put all of the officers into one type of thing. And like let's say like if we go back to the regiment system, there won't be like 5 platoons, whatever. There'll be the first garrison, second garrison, then we flood all those people in there, and then we'll have a consistency that we'll be able to work with. And then the officers can conduct with each other and discuss and create strategy plans. But right now, it's just way too separated. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think the old platoon system was the best. Like, bro,
It was.
remember
It definitely was.
platoons? Like, when you weren't spread out as much, and like when you had enough officers to fit the amount of men, and like you don't, bro, and you didn't have to bring in these new guys. You didn't know what they were doing.
Exactly.
That's
And-
when it was.
and-
That was. Go on.
And what was even more important is that the ranks actually matter. People actually wanted to be sergeant.
Yeah.
People actually wanted to be lieutenant because those types of positions were really hard to get back then.
Right, bro. Like it fit the military kind of ranks. Like when you were a corporal in real life, it's like you're a corporal. It's a pretty acknowledged rank. But now it's like you're a corporal. Nice job. It's
Yeah.
a small rank within the
I mean,
HBC
like,
now.
it's basically, oh, you're a corporal. Oh, when I get to sergeant, you have to do like 5 things to get to sergeant.
Like most of those that come into HBC from other factions that are pretty big, they're like, corporal? Really? You're gonna give us corporal? That's not enough. That's what they think. So that just shows how much appreciation
I
they
mean,
have for the
I
kind of
think-
like lower ranks now.
Yeah.
2-3 hours today, and I quit today because one of my guys said leave. Right, I was like, sure. But like,
Yeah.
what it was like is it was spadassery. Right, you saw the warrant officer, or you saw these HRs saying, "Oh, they can lead," but then they
Yeah.
push into James Bay, straight into the spawn,
Mm.
when they know people are gonna respawn and spawn camp them. It's not like it's so dumb, and I literally warned them. Oh, look, it's not a good idea. see like what
Right.
happens when colonists raid. This happens, but like nah, I got this, and then they die.
It's I don't know, dude.
Then I have
HBC
to like
used to be
drag
feared.
them.
I remember when I used to play the game, and for the longest of times, till I went to BCC, I was in Apache, and when I was in Apache, I had never seen the HBC fort. That's how scared I was of the HBC, because I knew I'd have lost everything if I had seen the HBC fort. I thought it was like hell's, basically the mouth of hell. That's what I thought it
No, like
was.
from early on, like when I first started TNF, right? I was a native. I didn't even know my name way to James Bay, so like someone had to teach me, like some random colonist I found.
Right.
And like we would used to go in teams, and then like they used to warn me, oh look at these HPC, you do not go near them, right? And the first interaction I had with HPC, I didn't know what the HPC 4 looked like. It looked like some random thing in the middle.
Bro, let me
And
cut
I
you
was
in
like,
right there. I remember when I went as a native for the first time, and bro, I remember we had hunting bows and stuff. We had tomahawks, and it was me and 3 other guys. And then all of a sudden, the blizzard hits, and the blizzard was so thick. On God, bro, I get my tomahawk and I start killing them off one by one, and eventually they look around and I killed all of them, and I started looting them. That's how bad of a native brethren I was, dude. I would kill my own guys.
no, this was like straight in December, maybe.
Right.
Like
Oh my God.
it was like they literally scared me. The first encounter I was like, hello HBC. They shot me and looted me. I was like, I don't know.
You
how
see,
much-
it didn't always used to be like that though. We actually used to like protect the colonists, and we would only focus on the natives.
Yeah, I
we
remember.
would
Yeah, no, it's because I
destroy.
walked. I was a native. I don't know.
And then they would have like realistic factions as well, like the Apache
Mhm.
tribe, the Shoshone
The
tribe.
Fenrod. No, not
Yeah.
Fenian.
And now it's just like a variation of just
I feel
some
like-
retarded
I feel
names.
like they should
Stupid
change.
names.
I feel like
It started
they should
happening when the
It's-
Noodle Brigade came in.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it
Remember
was, to be fair. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. When they were like, oh, the Noodle Brigade, whoa.
Yeah, the Mimi faction.
I remember the Prussian, was it the Prussian, what, I forgot what they were called. The Prussian National Guard or something. Yeah, that's what it's called, the Prussian
PNG.
National Guard, PNG, yeah. And there was like the Greater Emden
Yeah,
Company.
GEC. Led by Nino.
And then there was the Fenrod, no, why am I saying Fenrod? Fenians. The
Yeah,
IRA,
Fenians were pretty
Fenians.
hardcore too.
Apache, the Comanche tribe. The Comanche,
were good
I
too.
feel like without the Comanche, native was nothing.
Mhm.
That's why
Well, the
native
bows
died
the
off.
bows used to be like really OP back then. Like they'd be like really,
It used
really
to be,
like, probably the best weapons you
Do
can
you guys
get
like
in game.
remember when like ammo used to cost a lot?
dude. Remember when it was like the bow, the tomahawk, and what was the other thing?
Oh, yes,
It was a
the-
bow, tomahawk, and a knife. I think it was.
Yeah.
That used to be the loadout.
The tomahawk used to be my favorite weapon. 3 logs for a pretty good weapon. Like I got used to that tomahawk. That's why I only use war axes till today.
It was epic. I mean, I really enjoyed it back then and back in the day. I forgot what I was gonna say.
The community was very mature back then as well.
Yeah. No, obviously, I feel like it was partly because of Audacious. That's why the community changed. So I was talking to Imi about it, and also arrest some of you in. I was talking to Imi about it, and we were just saying how the community changed partly because of Audacious, because none of these meme factions would be around if it wasn't for Audacious, which is Calmly Tides, of course, you guys don't know.
Mm.
None of these things wouldn't be a thing, because like Legio, they came because of Calmly. FLC, they came because of what Grenadiers did to them, or something like HBC Rebellion, I don't know. There's TFC, there's obviously TLR was a thing for a while.
Mhm.
And there's other factions that I can't list because too many of them for
Too many
obviously
of them.
yeah, too many of them. But yeah, and like I think they was mainly because of these certain people who obviously I would consider them to be warlords of TNF, but because of them, that's why this unrealism has become a thing.
Well,
So
the
if it
problem
wasn't
is,
for
like,
this-
the only nitpick I had with Audacious or Calmly, like, it was not every
I don't-
month, but I saw.
Wait, let me cut you in there.
Hey,
I don't think it's only Audacious. I think it's a lot of those warlords, so like Andres and obviously Calmly and Fish
Yeah.
Bucket and others that made those smaller like MRs mad and made them go up in a rebellion.
No, like, let me see ya. So basically, I saw all these factions. I saw what they were doing wrong. Like, you can tell what they were doing wrong, right? It's like they were like saying, "Oh, we're not gonna let no one in. We don't care where you came from or who you are." But then the next day they start mass recruiting, and then like I'm like, "What? Why this? This is like literally the downfall that we had before."
Right. See, I
So
think that there was nothing wrong with mass recruiting. To be fair, mass recruitment was fine because as you've seen, I don't know if you guys were here before, but when Kamachi used to mass recruit, also they
I
used to
mean, they
mass
used
recruit
to
a lot,
train
dog.
them.
Like they say, I was talking to Trist about this, and I think it was like, if you recruit 5 guys, you get a promotion and stuff like that. That made sense, I think, because you recruit, then you recruit people, and then you get more, you get promotion. For the native ranks, I think that made sense because you're a native, you're promoted for recruiting, hiring people to join your cause against the HBC. That makes sense, I
Mhm.
think. You get a bunch of guys, and then you get promotion. This is your squadron. You push, you kill the HBC. I think that made sense. Also, Kamachi used to get like 50 in each server. You would never see you would have never seen a Kamachi. You would have never been in a server without Kamachi. That's what it would have been.
It was very rare. But like, what? Like, do you think that before like all this, like in the past of TNF, were the
Right.
people who used to recruit were they smarter? Like, I don't want to be like
To
rude,
be
but like,
fair,
were they smarter than the people like who are here now?
Well, the game used to rally at least like 7 to 8K members a day.
Mhm.
And HBC was the powerhouse. So everybody would just want to join HBC.
And then the people who like decided not to.
And the
Oh,
people
I
that
don't-
I believe it was much harder for them to recruit.
Mhm.
I feel like yes, I
I mean,
believe
that also put in like a barrier where some people who actually got the gist like thought maybe HBC is not good, and then they went to like different factions.
I think, to be fair, the reason why HBC like it got that impression of it not being good was because of BCC and those factions that rose up. Back in the day when HBC was the best, and it was like only IRA that matched it, and a couple of other factions like TCT, obviously. It was kind of like HBC versus them. It wasn't one person dominating over the other constantly until a faction like BCC came and like FLC came, which
Like-
basically overlapped them, which is stupid because that basically killed the HBC's morale constantly. And those good
I was
men,
in
they
HBC
and
that
then
time.
toxicity rises, and because toxicity rises, people start to leave the group. They leave the community because of how bad it is and the
it's
impression.
really bad. Yeah. I can say that is true to an extent, but I also think it's was the lack of motivation of the HBC officers to adapt to the new changes. So when BCC came in, they came in with like hardcore new strategic plans, and it like hit them like by surprise because it's not something that they were used to.
Yeah.
You have to in this type of game, you have to continue to learn how to adapt. You have to actually pay attention to the other enemy factions and learn how to counter what they're doing.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
competition is extreme. If you can't
I
stand
mean,
one
like,
week
now
without
they-
getting
like
killed by HBC constantly,
Whoa, one
there's
person speak
nothing
at a
you can
time.
do.
Okay.
I guess now HBC use BCC tactics, but they use it really badly. They don't do it properly, if you know what I'm talking about.
Oh
Wait,
no,
what?
dude. There was clearly a difference when the change, like I'm gonna call it the great change, because when BCC rose, when CFM and Arrakis like merged, because to me, when BCC merged, like when that merge happened to that big faction, and I think from that point onward everything changed. So I'm gonna call it that big gap.
Well,
Once that
I
big
feel
gap happened, what happened was it was like you had to adapt. All of a sudden you couldn't like HBC was having a challenge. All of a sudden natives were starting to become less because these new bigger factions were starting to bring them down to the colonist side. For personal experience, I was a native in Apache, but as soon as we went to BCC, we had to go colonist because that was the most efficient. We wanted everything to be quick. There was no relaxing anymore for the game. There was always loot, loot, and loot. You want money? We got you money. That's it. You gotta give us you as quick as possible. Basically, that's what I think. That's what happened.
Mhm.
What do
Oh,
you
I-
think, Xolkar? Because I feel like this is from like an outsider perspective. Obviously, you in HBC for a while, so I want to know your perspective.
On what exactly?
So when BCC became a thing around that area, when all these big factions rose and everything just changed. What is your perspective on it?
I think that is true to a certain extent. But as soon as, because it was going back and forth between BCC and HBC, like you guys would get us, we'd get you. You guys get us, we get you. And then it just kept getting to a point where their lack of motivation to adapt started at
To
making
deter-
them lose.
Mhm.
Yeah. At the same time, this was like first time ever. You know, no one had ever seen this happen. So what happened with on the BCC side? They were like, "Well, we're doing something, and it's not only RA that's doing this anymore. Like someone else can do this." So on the BCC side, they were like, "We need to continue adapting. We need to continue giving it our all." And that's why. And whilst on the HBC side, they were like, "Not really worth it, is it? Because of the amount of comments they got at the same time and stuff like that."
Okay, so Xolkar, so was it? I'm not like really sure here, but was it Aiden who put in the garrison system, or was that someone else?
It was Gormadich, I think.
Because I
Back then?
remember merging during GEC, like going to I think it was 4th garrison, right? And I remember merging, or no, it was 2nd garrison.
You said GEC?
Yeah, GEC merged, like when GEC first merged.
I think
Dude,
I-
You know when Aiden went to HPC?
I think Aiden was still in HBC. Yeah, I think so.
Dude, when GEC merged, that was the most funniest thing.
No,
I'm
but
gonna
he
keep arguing
made
with
the
you guys.
garrison. I didn't he make the garrison system?
Wait,
I'm pretty
one
sure he
minute.
did.
Oh, I dropped my phone. Anyways, when GEC merged, dude, that was the most funniest
Well,
thing.
it was kind of with all the other factions as well, though, because BCC was clapping the other factions, and the
I'll be back in
factions
a
were
second.
tired of losing, so they
No,
wanted to merge into
Nino didn't wanna
HBC
merge,
because
it
they knew the HBC kind of stood a chance.
Uh-huh. I know Nino didn't want to personally merge. It was Aiden who pressured him into doing that. But yeah, I mean, I feel like after the GC merge, personally, I think HBC kind of went downhill. Kind of.
Wait, what?
I think it. No, I don't think.
I don't
so.
know about
I don't
you,
think.
man.
I don't think that was the reason.
I disagree. When GEC
Yeah.
merged, it was kind of like a meme. Because
Uh-huh.
I remember Nino telling me, and you can't go against Nino because he was like the leader of your faction. He was like the main general. He was the only general that you guys had. And when they merged, what happened was, you guys got treated like a joke.
Definitely.
You guys got made fun of. I remember when I think it was Lazarus.
No,
It was Nino.
basically,
And they
did-
told Nino to go and be meat shields. They told the entirety of GEC to go be
Yes.
meat shields.
I
There
was
was
part of
no
that
change
raid.
when GEC merged.
That exact
When
raid.
GEC merged, the only thing that happened was you guys get HBC gained more men.
Mhm.
Arguably some good men, but arguably very bad men.
Uh.
People like 206 came along.
Yeah, but yeah, that was bad.
People like Donnie.
Donnie,
I don't know,
yeah.
dude. I think
All these
GEC
guys.
didn't make much of a change. It didn't make much of an
I
impact.
feel like
I-
GC would have been better off
I didn't
staying.
even know who GEC was until I went to BCC.
Uh-huh,
I knew who Prussian National Guard was. I didn't know who GEC was.
uh-huh. But
Considering
yeah, it was...
I think GEC never had much of an impact on the game. Obviously, because they were related to the bigger factions, they had an impact. They like quote unquote had an impact when it comes to word of mouth.
Mhm.
They were like, whoa, it's GC, whoa, they relate to BCC, they relate to this, whoa. They merged to HBC, look at their ranks, whoa. That's like, it's kind of like that. They had a word of mouth impact, but in reality, they had like a modest impact
I
on the
guess
game.
basically when you think of GC, you just think, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if the only reason I said GC is because I think Aiden implemented the garrison. If he didn't, then whoever implemented it, I think the garrison system was to blame for the end of for the really downfall of HBC.
Well, I've been
Oh my
through
God.
HBC for like every kind of argument or backstab that could possibly be. It started with Andres, I think, when he left and did his FLC. And then from there it kind of just people started like, you know what I mean? And then HBC is, I think they have potential. I feel like the garrisons are kind of in this void right now, and the Grenadiers are possibly the only actually fighting stance regarding
But you gotta look
HBC.
at the
I
numbers
think
too.
regarding respect, Grenadiers are the only people who get somewhat respect now.
Because they're the only people that actually like. It's kind of hard to go head to head with them. And obviously, sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. But with garrison babies, they just get slaughtered by like the numbers. Like there's
Like
just
even Grenadiers, they get like made fun
To be
Oh,
fair,
of and stuff.
Grenadiers do they do get made fun of, but from what I've seen, when it comes to change, Grenadiers don't change as much. You know, they've always
don't.
had the same amount of respect. Well, from what I've seen, they've always had the same amount of respect. They've always done what they need to do. They've always gone to the battlefield and performed what they did from what their perspective was the best. They performed their best, and they didn't change as much. Whereas garrisons, garrison babies, especially, you're a lance corporal one day, then you go all the way up to master sergeant another day.
Yeah,
then
it's
you go down to-
crazy.
then you go down to private. All of a sudden you're up to major, and then you're like discharged, and you come back, and then you garrison change. It's like, what on earth?
Or you're a major and you can't handle the stress.
Stability.
I'm gonna go to LMO. I'm just gonna live my entire life.
And the Grenadiers are the only people that are actually like, me personally, I don't like promote anybody. Like, if they get to Lance Corporal, then that's what they get. They work for their ranks. People stay as privates for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and it goes on from that. But as far as HBC goes, I feel like we just need more strategic officers, people who would actually implement things and bring good ideas to the table. And I feel like I'm one of the better leaders in HBC, but it can't just be like one or three of us. It has to be like a group of us actually putting our thoughts together and brainstorming to make something extravagant. You know what I
That
mean?
has happened
The
before.
problem
I
is, like,
remember.
when there's people.
Wait, Asher,
who
give me a minute.
don't-
Asher, give me a minute. You can speak right after. I want to speak about this, but that has happened before when Fourth Garrison's never been in its best position. Let's be fair. It's
Yeah.
always been tossed around. It's always been Fourth Garrison. Fourth Garrison. It's never first. It's never second. It's always fourth, missing the entire leaderboard. Anyways, Fourth
Yeah.
Garrison, right? So me, Nino, and I think it's Eternal and Donnie. Nino, he's a good leader. He's a prominent leader also. Me, I'm a good leader. Eternal's a good leader also. And there's Donnie who does he's reasonably good with he's good with technical stuff, basically the background. When we got put into Fourth Garrison, when Adim was recruiting, he gave Nino captain and he gave me and Donnie lieutenants, and we got put into Fourth Garrison. And we turned Fourth Garrison from an inactive piece of shit all the way up to an active garrison, which was the best garrison at the time. That shows what a handful of good leadership can do to a garrison that was inactive and dormant for a while.
Exactly.
Think
Point
about it.
proven.
Think about it. What if all these retarded leaders got put out of, they got resigned from TNF, like all these Ooga Booga people like from TFC who say they're good leaders and stuff. Shut up. No, you're not. There's only a handful of them that are good. They get put into HBC. They actually,
It would make a change.
HBC High Command agrees for once, saying we will give you a reasonable rank because you guys have worked hard,
Yeah.
and we'll give you this rank to show that we want you and to show that you will obviously return a favor in the future. It will make a huge change. Even if one leaves, most likely the rest will stay because HBC will improve. It will become so much more better. Their friends will be there because most of the good leaders, like the top 10 leaders, are friends. Let's keep it real. most of the outside faction leaders are friends. They basically will change the entirety of HBC around, and it will go back to historical accuracy.
Mhm.
But then at the same time, it's like I think there's a small problem with the high command, who obviously they've got jobs, they've got college, they've got university, they're a bit too busy. So I don't know.
I mean, yeah, some. that
Well, it just
is
goes back
like-
about the lack of ability to adapt.
Yeah.
Like, what can we do to improve HBC? I think speaking to enemy HRs and trying to, as a group, like a group of us, like trying to talk and come to
make it
terms and
more-
like a meeting of sorts and trying to convince them to assist in any way, like we would make so much more improvement.
It would have
What it is
such an
right
impact
now.
on the game.
It would.
I can 100% agree. Within 2 weeks of that thing being in effect, it would change everything.
Mhm.
And the thing is, I have these ideas and I try and implement them, but other people don't agree. People that are
Yeah.
higher than me, and with that, but you have to understand their point of view as well. Like we let these factions join, and then as soon as they don't like something going their way, poof,
Right.
they're gone.
I understand where that comes from because
Yeah.
no one person in specific. We all know. Comedy time. He comes.
No.
Go on.
It's like I said, it's been the start with Andres, because Andres has gone left, came
Yeah.
back. It's like it was back and forth, and then Andres kind of set that tone.
And then all of a sudden the trust is gone within that.
Yeah,
It's very disgusting. I mean, I think there is still hope. There will always still be a small amount of hope within HBC because it's so big.
I think so too. It's just they have to adapt. That's adapt is like the special word.
I mean, like,
It's
so
true.
Also,
if you-
one thing I don't like the fact that these like LMQ guys have so much power
Mhm.
because
Ooh,
these LMQ
LMQ.
guys like Fancy Me
LMQ.
and
Lord Marshal's
Mini,
office.
alternative to Mini, like these Lord Marshal's office.
Yeah,
The LMO.
Like, bro, if you want to talk to the, let's say I'm a HR, right, and I want to talk to the Lord Marshal, why do I have to go through people to talk to the Lord Marshal? Those guys who I'm talking to, like, I can say, oh mate, I'm gonna merge a faction with 200 people in it.
Yeah.
You know, talk to Fancy, talk to Lazarus about it, Governor Lazarus. They don't talk. Why if they don't talk to Lazarus?
I
And say they
guarantee
say
you they
no.
don't.
They probably don't. That's what I'm saying.
No, because their specific job is to simply administrate, not to that extent with involvement with the vassals or whatever. It's more of regards to quote unquote betterment the officer corps. So their job is they're basically like counselors almost.
Right. But then at the same time, when you're having that, I think the governor feels like he doesn't have to do anything else. Like he has secretaries. I think that's why he sees it, man. Sometimes. So when you have that, it's kind of like you can't get to the governor anymore, and the governor's basically the king of the hive. So how are you supposed to change things if you can't even reach the high command? That's why I think.
I didn't even know about the LMO thing about them having to talk, or people who want to talk to wealthy have to go through them first. I didn't even know about that.
No, you can go to wealthy, but like when you have to go to like high command, like when you want to talk about a garrison or something, and like you saying you want to merge into a garrison, you gotta talk to the LMAQ guys and these other guys, and it's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah,
I
I
mean-
totally understand what you're trying to say.
Because when you want something done, you don't want to talk to other people. You want to just get like straight to the point. You know what I mean?
Well, especially when you got you've got something offer on the table, something being offered on the table, and it's not a small amount. We just passed 80 subscribers.
Mad.
Yeah, we're at 82 now. Anyways, but when you want something done, you have something so big offered on the table, and you put it on the table, you're like, hey man, I got this. These are skilled men, these are trained men, they're ready to go. And all of a sudden they're like, no, buddy, you gotta wait on the waiting list. Yeah, sorry, let's just take time. Yeah, you gotta 6 o'clock. That's when I can possibly contact the governor and get this merge sorted.
But then again, it goes back to the trust issues.
Yeah, I mean, I've been told that we've just went over 45 minutes.
Oh damn.
So we may just continue this back in episode 3.
Yeah. Anyways.
All right. That's it. Most of the discussion's been about HBC and improvement. I think it's been a pretty good discussion.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I
that's
think so,
about
too.
it. Thank
Well,
you.
anyways, I guess
Thank you for
we'll see you guys in
subscribing.
episode 3.
Right. We'll see you guys later. Gabriel.
Bye.